Hello and welcome to the Thermal Expansion Mod Spotlight. The first thing you're going to want to achieve in thermal expansion is to double your ores. To do that we're going to need a pulverizer and we're going to need a furnace. Now both of these require a machine frame which requires gears which are made for tin. So these are machines that use power and can also be upgraded. In contrast to a device like the aqueous accumulator which gathers water, doesn't use power and can't be upgraded, also uses a different device frame and a copper gear instead of a tin gear, and also needs a servo. So let's see how this is going to work. So we've got a 3x1 water source. We can put the aqueous accumulator directly in the middle and you'll notice that it starts accruing water automatically. Then what we can do is we can put a steam dynamo on top. So if we want to rotate, we can use a crescent hammer which is just made with some iron and tin. So we can rotate it, and what we're going to do is we're going to connect some cables to it. These can be any cables. This is from a different mod. And we're going to take our pulverizer first, and then we're going to put our furnace down like that. Look at the interface, you can see it's got all the water which it got from the aqueous accumulator below, automatically output. And you can see that the top of this, if we look at the configuration here, you can see the top is automatically outputting, and that orange means auto output. There's also a couple of buttons on the side here, and they'll be different for each machine. Now if you look at the machines I just put down here, you can see their configuration has already got a preset to it, but we maybe don't want that, so we're going to shift click and we're going to clear the presets from both these machines. You'll also notice the power on the left hand side. So when we put this coal in here, you're going to see it's going to start working. So we click here, we can see it's outputting power, and these machines are getting power. So what we're going to do now is we've got this strong box. So this is just made with a chest and some tin, and we're going to put one on top of each. And now we're going to start with some iron ore. So iron ore, we want to double that iron ore. So we'll just put it in the top here. So to make it go into the pulverizer, we're going to click once, and this blue side means that the input will come into this slot here. Then if we change this auto input disabled to enabled, the iron ore will arrive in here. What we can then do is we can go to the fourth one here, which is orange, which means output. So there's a possibility of two outputs from the iron. So we're going to get pulverized iron, which will allow us to double, but there's also a chance we're going to get some nickel as well, as you can see there. So what we could do, so we've got the output here. So if we want to bring that in, we can change this to enabled, nothing will happen, but then as soon as we press input on the left hand side, this pulverized iron will come in, and also once it's finished, the pulverized nickel will come in as well. And if we do an output to the top, the iron will get smelted and go in here. Now it may be that not only do we want to smelt ores, we'd also like to cook some food. So for that, we're only going to need to use the redstone furnace. So what we do here is in the output slot here, we're going to change it to this one. So you see this has got orange and blue in it. This means it's output and input. So what this means is that if we put our raw beef in here, it'll be able to put it in there, and then once it finishes, it will go up here. There's also an important thing to understand about transmission and reception and the way the word is used in this mod. Transmission coils are going to be used for things like dynamos, whereas reception coils are going to be used to make machines. So essentially what it's saying is we transmit energy with the dynamos and then receive energy with these machines. Let's change things up a bit. So we've got this sequential fabricator. What I'd like to do is get to the next tier of machines because we want to upgrade. So again, we're going to take away the configuration there. And what we're looking to get is we're looking to make something called Invar. So we look at Invar blend, we can see we're going to need pulverized iron and pulverized nickel, and that will make Invar blend, which as we've just seen is a result of pulverizing iron ore. So while we're in the menu for the sequential fabricator, if we just shift and click, you can see we can get these ghost items appear, and then we can set the recipe. Now what we can do is, remember we've got our iron and nickel going in here, so we'll output into here. When it will auto input, it says unavailable, it just means it will do it, and then we'll input here. And you can see it's crafting the Invar blend. And then what we can do is then we can output into our redstone furnace. Invar blend goes in, and you can see we're going to start to get Invar ingots. With 4 Invar ingots we can make an Invar gear, and with that we can then make an induction smelter. Okay, so in the induction smelter, again we're going to disable the configuration, and we're going to unlock this slot here, so it's unlocked. So here we have the inventory of the induction smelter. It takes 2 items. So we're going to put in pulverized lead and pulverized obsidian, And they're things which we can just make by doing a similar process to this. And once we've done that, we can get hardened glass. So if we want to upgrade a machine, we'd need to get the hardened upgrade kit, and that requires Invar ingots. So one of the cool things you can do in thermal expansion is you actually create lava from nothing. And the way you do that is if we get a magma crucible, this requires hardened glass, which we've just got. So we'll put our magma crucible down. We can then use our hardened upgrade kit and upgrade it. And this upgrades it to a tier 2 machine. And you'll see that augmentation, whereas before that was disabled and you couldn't do anything with that, you now have a slot. And what we're going to do is put this thing in here, the pyroconvective loop. And that just requires some Invar as well. So we can just right click or we can put it in. Either way, it goes in there and you can see it's in there now. So what this can do is now create lava. Okay, here's another machine, the igneous extruder. Again, just some Invar, and this can use any glass. If it says block glass, there's any glass, hardened glass, it has to be the hardened glass from the induction smelter. So put this igneous extruder down, and you can see it's making cobble. All it needs to make cobble is a block of each of those, block of water, block of lava, and it will continually make cobble, and it won't use anything up. It just requires a bit of power, but you have infinite cobble from this. So what we can do is go into the config, just make sure we're outputting. You can input. It's easy just to shift click in the middle all the time. This is going to make lava. It does it very slowly, so what you may want to do is have multiple magma crucibles, and that way you'll be able to get a sufficient amount of lava. And what you could do potentially is you could power magmatic dynamos in this way. So you can see the amount of power this needs is quite a lot. So we may want to try and get a better power source. There are ways to upgrade using augments. I mentioned the transmission coils for the dynamos. You also get the auxiliary transmission coil. And this is an augment which increases power generation, and the same is true for the reception coil. So the auxiliary reception coil increases maximum power usage. So we could use that to make the lava faster, but what I'd like to do is something a bit different, which is this, refined fuel. So this is a way that we can go through fuel and get a much better power source. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so this time we're trying something a bit different. So we're going to put some coal in the strongbox here. You can see the input, the coal is going to be pulverized into pulverized coal. And there's also an extra bit of sulfur, and we're just going to put this in the strongbox to the side because we're not going to actually use that. So this pulverized coal, we're then going to want to put it into a magma crucible. And you can see the pulverized coal in the magma crucible, it actually works quite fast. And we're going to create liquefied coal from that. So another basic alloy we can make is called constantan. This requires copper and nickel pulverized. And with that we can make a fractionating steel. So we're going to be able to put our liquefied coal into the fractionating steel. In this recipe, we are going to need the reflux column. That requires a constantan gear, some hardened glass, and a blaze rod. Also going to need a new type of coil, which is the conductance coil, a result of the alloy electrum. So the electrum blend is a result of gold, pulverized gold and pulverized silver. And it's also the third tier. So we look at the reinforced kit, you can see it requires electrum. So this gets to tier 3. So if Invar is tier 2 and electrum is tier 3. So at this point we may as well use a conversion kit, because a conversion kit will simply allow you to upgrade from tier 1 directly to tier 3. So you can see now we have 2 augments available immediately. So we've got the reflux column in there, and we're going to output over here, and you can see it disappears. So this liquefied coal is going to process, we'll get tar and we'll get naphtha. Okay, we'll put another fractionating steel down here. Get rid of the sides. We'll upgrade it. Another reflux column. In you go. Okay, so once that finishes, we're going to get refined fuel and we get sulfur. And again, we'll get rid of this byproduct. Okay, so now we've got this compression dynamo. You can see the refined fuel is in there. Okay, and what we'll do is with the compression dynamo, just for simplicity's sake, we're just going to feed it straight back into this network here. So with the compression dynamo, you're going to want to make these ignition plugs. Okay, so I've upgraded all of these to Signalum. And you can see, essentially we have the reception coils in all the reception machines. This is going faster. We've got that reflux column here, reflux column with reception coils, and then of course in the transmission machine, we've got the transmission coils. This is going much faster, and we've also updated all the cabling over here. So how do you get that Signalum? Okay, so the way to make Signalum is to use a magma crucible. So 10 redstone will make a bucket of destabilized redstone. And then what we need to do is put it into a sequential fabricator again. This time we're going to use this, the fluidic fabrication. Okay, so once we put that in here, you can see we're going to have the fluidic fabrication. We could put a few more reception coils in there. Shift those in. And we're looking to get, again, we're looking to get the blend, okay? So that is going to be the recipe. Let's just assume that we have the pulverized copper and silver. What we're going to do is we're going to do configuration here and just do an output here for now. We could do a similar thing with the input on the top, and redstone can go in here. We'll do redstone blocks. Now here we want to get rid of that. We'll do an input, and you can see we're making Signalum blend. Okay, so that is how you make the Signalum upgrade kits. Okay, so we've done a lot now. Okay, so we've got up to this tier 4 of Signalum, and we wanted to see, is it going to make any effect on that lava production? So you remember what the lava production speed was like when we did before. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the magma crucible, and we've got 3 reception coils in there. Instead we're going to put the pyroconvective loop, and this is going to create the lava. Okay, so you can see now this lava is coming in noticeably quicker. So it's creating a bucket of lava about every 2 or 3 seconds. So the final upgrade kit is Enderium, and it's a similar process with resin ender, and that comes from ender pearls. Okay, I want to look at this thing now, which is a device called the Creature Encapsulator. Now what this will do is, when you supply it with morbs, it will be able to capture all passive or hostile mobs. Okay, so again, because this is a device, it doesn't need any power. But let's have a look. And you can see, as he started chasing me, he got captured in there. Okay, now one thing I wanted to mention, which is quite interesting about dynamos, is there's this augment called the excitation field limiter. And what this will mean is, you see that power output, it means it's using power even when it's not actually doing anything, because I've just been doing the Enderman thing. This will prevent the machine from using power when there's no work to be done. Okay, so with those morbs, let's have a look. We've got the centrifugal separator now. So we need to upgrade the centrifugal separator, and we've got this item, the enstabulation apparatus. Put that in, and then we can put the morbs in. That way you'll get ender pearls, and you'll also get some essence of knowledge. So we can then make this the arcane ensorcellator. So let's get this essence of knowledge. Just put it into here. So we've got the essence of knowledge now. Okay, so what the arcane ensorcellator lets you do is, combining books with various items, it'll let you get enchanted books. So for instance, if we put in an emerald here, we put in a few reception coils here just to speed it up. See, an emerald will use up some essence of knowledge and will get you a fortune book. There's a lot of other cool things in this mod, but I just want to highlight a couple of them before we end off this video. First is this, the boiler conversion, which is an output specialization. It's mainly the augments that are really cool. So with the steam dynamo, we can get it to output steam, and the same with the magmatic and the compression dynamo. Another cool thing is this, the innovation dynamo specialization, which allows enchanted items to be used as fuel. So that might work quite nicely with the arcane ensorcellator over there. And the final one is this, which allows for damaged items to be repaired. Aside from that though, I think I'm going to leave it there, so thanks for watching.